Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute, or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Now it's time for Inspirational Women and my guest, Kathryn Williams, who is with National Geographic Kids and is the editor of the Weird But True series. It's quite an interesting job, as you might imagine, and Kathryn provides some insights for us on that. But she really gives us some good peeks inside the newest volume, Weird But True 2024. This is 300 pages of great color photos, interesting facts, and even some quizzes. It's sure to be a hit with all ages, although it's geared for middle school kids, and it's a great way to get kids reading and a good idea for a gift for a special occasion. So let's meet Kathryn Williams and get some details. Kathryn Williams, good morning. Thank you so greatly for being with us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so excited, and I expect our listeners to be equally excited because we're going to talk about National Geographic Kids' new book coming out for 2024, Weird But True. And you were the editor for this. And what fun was that for you, Kathryn?
Oh, it was so much fun. This book is a collection of the weirdest places, animals, festivals, everything all around the world, continent to continent. So I got to learn so much cool stuff about the world, all kinds of weird facts, and look at some really interesting images of animals all day while I was working on this book. It's a ton of fun to read.
So as the editor, you have probably a great deal more information than you're able to include in the book. Is that right? Is that fair?
That's right, yeah. It's a really big book and it has a lot of information, but even still, there's a lot of decision-making and things that we can't include. But fortunately, we're making this book every year, so things that we don't include this year, we can include next year, or hopefully the year after. But we try to keep, a nice balance of different things in the book. So there's a lot of decisions that I have to make about what goes in and what we leave out, even though there are so many wonderful things in the world to include.
And, that's the thing that really amazes me is that, as you said, what doesn't get used this year is going to go into next year's book kind of thing. And to think that there's that much weird stuff in the world, it boggles my mind.
I know. I worry about it sometimes. I'm like, are we going to run out of weird stuff to put in these books? But our writers and researchers keep finding it seems like an infinite amount of weird things in the world every year. So there's plenty out there.
So rest assured, people who really like strange stuff, this book has it, and it's going to continue year after year. So rest assured. So taking a look at the book for 2024, and it's actually, as we speak, it's already been out on the bookshelves, so which, I'm going to then mention would be great to consider for gifting because there's a big holiday season with many different kinds of festivals coming up in the remaining part of the year, that this would be ideal for some very special people.
Yeah, this is a great gift. It's great for kids who are maybe reluctant readers, who maybe don't lose themselves in a novel. It's great for all kinds of kids, but this is great for kids who really need these fun images, weird facts to get them sucked into a book. It's really great for that. For kids who are middle school age, 8 to 12, but I think even adults. I love reading it. I love looking at it. So it's a great gift for anyone, but especially those middle school kids who maybe you can't get to read. This book's perfect for them. It's going to really have them reading it over and over again, and wanting to look at it all the time.
And that's such an important point because sometimes reading can be a challenge for many kids to get them interested, for one thing, in reading, and then to have them stick with it. So here's a great way to do it. They are captured by the pictures and by the idea of stuff that's kind of weird and maybe kind of I'm going to say slimy, but it's much more than that kind of thing. But that middle school age group loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they really do, and that's what we try to we really focus on the weird stuff as a way to get into the rest of the world. I mean, there's some really cool images in this book. I mean, some of my favorites, like there's we have a bit on weird sports, and so there's a picture of a woman who's inside of a giant pumpkin, and she's paddling it like a kayak, and that's just such an interesting image, and it really pulls you in and makes you want to read more about it. There's all kinds of cool animals in this book. There's surfing dogs. There's people sledding down volcanoes. There's all kinds of really amazing stuff. And then you start to read more about it, and then you just learn about the world and all of the wonderful places in it.
Exactly. That's what's so great about it is becoming aware of the world and you're still sitting in your living room or in your bedroom looking at all of this and just dreaming and connecting with some other part of this planet, which totally is exhilarating, isn't it?
It really is. And we have stuff from truly everywhere. We go from North America to every other continent. We are all the way in Antarctica. We have explorers have found a fruitcake that is 100 years old that's just been sitting in Antarctica and it's perfectly preserved. Really fun facts all the way in Antarctica. And we also do facts about the deep sea. We have bits about space. So it's everything. There's something in here for everyone, and there's something pretty much everywhere around the world featured in the book.
And that's another piece of it that's so educational in a very subtle way, is to get across some of that geography and history lesson to our kids, that they're just getting it because they're interested in seeing these pictures and finding out the stories behind something. And voila, all of a sudden, like you mentioned, Antarctica, but it might be something in Europe or going somewhere in Australia. It's just such an amazing book to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really do. At National Geographic, a lot of our books, we try to make it feel like you're learning when you're reading, but it doesn't really feel like you're learning. We try to make it feel like something fun kids will reach for, and then they're just happen to be learning along the way. And I think that this book really does that. Yeah, and especially one thing we do to capture our audience in particular, kids love these really weird animals, and so we have animals from all around the world that are strange, but then we round up what we've decided are the weirdest animals of the year. So we have one of my favorites is this little sea slug called a leaf sheep, and it has a face that looks just like a sheep. It's only less than half an inch long, and so we have this photo of it that's really zoomed in, and it's just this really wild-looking little creature that I honestly didn't know existed until we put it in this book. So we have tons of animals that I thought I've heard of them all, but they're in the book, and I hadn't heard of them, and so I hope that kids are really excited to learn about these things and see them as well.
Right. And it just occurs to me when they learn this, all of a sudden, they might be the ones with information no one else has. And talk about being the center of attention or being able to express that in a class situation as to what they discovered. In that way, I think it's just a way for kids to really develop a lot more self-confidence and self-assurance.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things to hear from our readers or parents of our readers, is that their kids are constantly quizzing their parents on things like, did you know this? Did you know this? And telling them new facts, or bringing the books to school and sharing them with their friends. That's something I love to hear. we get letters from our readers as well, and they're so smart. It's very cool. Sometimes they even catch our mistakes for us. So like they're really cool, and we love giving them information and ways that they can feel maybe a little smarter than their parents.
Right. Talk about that being such a confidence booster. Right.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in delving through all of this, well, first of all, how long do you spend needing to select all the different material to put into the book? What's that time frame?
We work on these books for quite a long time. So we really get started maybe a year and a half before the book is out and ready for the world. And it's just kind of starting those preliminary stages of like finding things, researchers going out and just seeing what's out there. And then as the year kind of goes by, we try to add things that are really current and new to our information. But I'm basically always getting emails, getting calls from people with like new weird stuff. So I'm pretty much all the time looking for weird things and thinking about this book all the time. So I am just really a collector of odd facts at this point. But we do start this quite a bit early. I think like maybe a year out, we're already making sure like writing the text, getting everything together and finding the balance there.
And so is it safe to assume your 2025 is well on its way already?
Yes, we're working on 2025 now, and it's, again, I was like, I don't know if we're going to have enough stuff in the world, enough weird stuff, and we found it. So there's plenty more for 2025.
Oh. So your work in itself is something that's really quite fascinating. And did you find, was this something that you might have dreamed about, or how did you venture into the work you're doing?
Yeah, it was really, it was a dream job for me. I did not expect to have a job like this, but I got a degree in writing, and I loved animals for my whole life. So I did a lot of volunteer work teaching kids about animals and teaching kids science experiments, and I just happened to get a job as an assistant at National Geographic, and I've been there for quite a while and worked my way up, and I've gotten to work on a lot of different books and get to really do some fun stuff with them. So it just happened to fall into place. But it definitely is my interest. I've always been a huge animal nerd, I was a nature kid, and so this is really wonderful for me.
Well, that is so great to hear, because it's such encouragement for kids to know, too, that, whatever it is that they're finding is passionate, who knows what that might lead to in their future life.
Yeah, that's true. I think this is part of what we hope to do, is just by exposing kids to all kinds of things, they just learn what's even out there. There's so much in the world that I didn't know about when I was 10 years old, and that I'm really excited to get to share with kids so that they know. We have even a section on weird jobs in the book that are, one is a pizza delivery person who delivers pizza underwater, really silly things. But also, by seeing conservation work happening all around the world and other things, like they really get to see what's out there and where they can go and what they can do.
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of this book, Weird But True 2024, what came up as being perhaps the weirdest thing?
Oh, it's so hard to pick the weirdest thing. I think some of the animals are really bizarre. We have included a millipede named after Taylor Swift in our weird news roundup, which I think kids will really like. Its scientific name, excuse my pronunciation, is Nanaria swiftae. And the scientist who named this millipede was just a really big Taylor Swift fan. So we have that millipede in the book. We have traffic zebras. They're people in Bolivia who dress up like zebras to help guide traffic. And we have a really funny photo of that as well. And then there's also things that are weird and a little more a little more educational. So there's like a seed vault in Europe where all these different kinds of seeds that grow the plants that we eat are kept in storage just in case something happened and we didn't have access to, say, corn anymore. So there's this vault underground that has all of the seeds of things we eat in it. That's really cool. Just strange stuff like that. So there's tons in here, and it is really hard to choose my favorite one, but those are some of my greatest hits.
I love that idea about that seed vault. Without consciously thinking of it, but, realizing how the planet is changing and we have floods and droughts and fires and all this going on. And we think, what's going to happen to the food supply? But we can maybe feel some peace about it that the scientists or whomever has planned this, that there are seeds that are protected, and that's going to help us into the future.
Yeah, it is really interesting, the things that people have already thought of that, I mean, that's not my job to think of, and I'm like, wow, I'm really glad somebody's thought of that. And we do try to, we have various things in the books that's like the seed vault. We have these giant telescopes where on top of mountains that people can look out and see really, really far into the universe, and giant solar panels and things like that. So there's a nice mix of like people paddling in pumpkin canoes, and then this really cool, vault where they keep all of these seeds for humanity in case we need them.
Yes. There is something that caught my eye called volcano boarding. That is really weird.
Yes. There's a lot of weird volcanoes in the world, and this one is really fun. In Nicaragua, I believe, there's a volcano has erupted, and it leaves one side covered in volcanic ash, which is actually a really nice material if you want to go sledding down a volcano. So people have gone up and taken sleds, and they board down the volcano, and it's kind of a fun thing that people can do. It's very cool, and we have images of people kind of just like totally speeding down this volcano. It's very cool. They have to wear goggles and safety gear, but yeah, it looks really fun.
And that's great that they've thought about the safety gear, because when you think about ash and how fine that is, and just it getting into our eyes, that would be extremely painful.
Yes. Definitely have safety gear. Definitely some, don't try this at home, but it's under the right supervision.
Right.
Fun thing to do.
Of course, kids see that, they might say, "Hey, Mom and Dad, we need to go to Nicaragua. We just need some new adventurers."
Yeah, that's true. And I apologize to any parents that these kids want to travel all around the world. But I think it is cool to show them places around the world that kids probably or may not get a chance to see anytime soon. And we definitely do that armchair travel well. But we also try to, I'm located in the United States. We have some stuff that, will probably feel a bit closer to home to kids as well. So there might be something in, listeners' states that's in the book. We have roadside attractions, art installations in Chicago, all kinds of things. So you might be surprised. Maybe there is something in the book that a kid can actually see.
Well, there should be, because, of course, there is a whole chapter that is Incredible North America.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of things, natural things, festivals. We had one festival featured where people throw cow dung as far as they can. Some really weird stuff in North America as well.
It's like, oh, that's stinky besides being weird.
Yeah, we do have some stuff that's a little gross because the middle school audience really, really loves reading about that kind of stuff.
As we had touched on, yes, they seem to like kind of stuff, it just the weirder it can be, and kind of what freak out their friends or freak out their family. Their friends would be. That is so great. And it occurs to me, in talking about this aspect of it, Kathryn, that in searching around wherever they are, this is a great opportunity to look for something weird that they could find in their own area so that they could communicate with you. Send that in.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love that. Yeah, it's very funny. The things that it is much. Sometimes it's hard to know if things are weird to other people when you're growing up around them, but sometimes you really need people on the ground to find these very specific things in the world. And we actually had some of our writers were reaching out to their friends who lived in different places to report back with, what's going on with this festival or this museum or something like that.
Right. So looking at another continent, going down way over to Africa, there's just some very interesting things there, including some fascinating sand dunes.
Oh, yeah. These are really incredible. This is another thing where I'm going to, say, oh, you've got to get the book. But these dunes are huge, and the photo that we have of them is like this wall of sand. It almost looks like the sky. They're so tall. It's very incredible photos of dunes in Africa.
Well, and definitely, the whole point of our really talking about this, besides being informative, is to encourage getting the book because, well, for the very reasons that we already said, in terms of it really engaging kids and encouraging their curiosity, encouraging their reading, and just a sense of the world. I mean, there's just so much great benefit and value here.
Yeah, there really is, and we have a team actually at National Geographic. We really photo forward all across the board. Our magazine, our kids' books, everything. So we actually have a team that really spends a lot of time finding photos and picking out the right ones. And so these books are like very, very visual. A lot of the weird stuff in them. I can describe it and it sounds weird, but you really, it's really cool when you get to see it. And that's kind of what we can give kids, because illustrated books are wonderful, but then this one you can really see real things in the world, photos of them, and it's like you're there.
Yes. And, to that point of all these magnificent pictures, because the book is large. It's something I think maybe 14 by 16, or it's a large volume book, and very affordable for what it is. It's really just such a wealth of great information, way beyond what the price tag on it is.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of info, and every time I open it up, I just feel like I'm looking at it and seeing it all again for the first time. This is a really fun book, so full of just wild information, and any kid who reads it, I think, will become a real wealth of knowledge and probably smarter than their parents, for sure.
Yes, and smarter than a lot of kids that they're around, which will maybe
Right.
inspire their friends to say, hey, I need to do this too. I need to find out about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've touched on North America and Antarctica, Africa. What about, I just love that there's Australia and Oceania. And so what did you find that was really interesting there?
There is, so Australia and Oceania, has a lot of, Oceania is like a collection of a lot of islands. And they are all kind of unique and interesting, and they have really unique ecosystems and animals and things like that. I think one of my favorites is that there are this crab migration on Christmas Island, where these little crabs go from the land to the sea, but there's so many crabs that it looks like the entire beach is red because they're all crawling all over everything. It's very cool. It's a very cool thing, and we have a really big image of it in the book, but these just like countless crabs migrating across the beach. It really looks like the rocks and the sand and everything is red, and there are just a lot of little crabs. Another fun thing from Australia is that we include a artist who makes fun shapes out of hair. So we have a picture of a hair that's in the shape of a hamburger. So something silly like that. It's a lot of natural stuff and natural beauty, but then also some really silly hair sculpting.
Which again just makes you think about how there's just so much potential for creativity, and the sky, the universe is the limit.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of the books we work on have these like weird facts and weird things in them, and some of the people I work with have kind of looked at this book and they're like, I didn't think that I could be surprised by anything, but I didn't know some of this stuff, and that's really, really rewarding.
Oh, truly, right? Because the world, when you think about how large this book is and that it comes out each year, how could any of us really be aware of everything that exists on our planet? And that's what's exciting, too.
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting to see some of the different things around the world, and then some of the things that are similar and around the world, and the way that animals have adapted in these really strange ways to the places that they live. It's very cool.
Definitely very cool. So let's see, I think we've touched on almost all continents, although let's see, with Europe, did we touch Europe? Something that maybe happens. Oh, Improbable Italy? A weird wonder in Italy?
Yeah, I mean, we do. I remember we have this spread on Italy. There's so many things that I'm like, I don't remember quite all of them.
Well, in defense of that for you, Kathryn, you did this book. I mean, it's out now. So you were working on it over this last year. You're already into 2025. So, you can truly be forgiven for not knowing all those details.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to give away too many spoilers about the next book and what we've included in there. One thing that we do have in Italy is in our strange sports section, there is a soccer match played, or I guess football in Europe, played in a medieval style. So people dress up in medieval helmets and medieval clothes, and they play an old-fashioned style of soccer that does not really exist anymore.
So they reenact that, right? But
Yeah.
because that used to be the way, and now it is. Yeah. So things like that, isn't that great? And being sports too, another area that kids, besides animals and nature, sports is something that intrigues them. So including those kinds of pictures and details certainly has its appeal, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. We also have some things we try to include, like weird theme parks, roller coasters, and things like that are very kid specific. There's, I think, in Asia there's a place called Deep Dive where you can dive. People with scuba gear and they dive really deep, but there's it's a man-made pool, and they can dive and see all kinds of weird scenery. It's almost like a museum, but underwater, and there's some cool images of that. So it's kind of like theme park stuff that I think kids will really like.
Well, bottom line here is the book is so amazing. We've touched on some of the wacky, weird stuff that's there that kids are absolutely going to adore and have such great fun with and keep going back to, and then we'll want to get ready for the following year. But right now we have Weird But True 2024. which is available at all of your favorite book sources. And I can't state enough how this is such an incredible gift to give to anyone, and particularly to school-age kids. They're just going to have a blast with it. Right, Kathryn?
Yeah, really, they are.
Well, I've had a blast with you. I am certainly so amazed by what you have done, and so thrilled for you that you are doing work that you love and how you got there. So I hope that that's inspiration for others as well. So I do thank you, Kathryn Williams, for taking time with us this morning, and really appreciate all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
That brings us to the end of a very full hour of Inspirational Women with Kathryn Williams and Sunday Morning Magazine with Tyler Pagel. I'm Kate Daniels, your host, and I greatly appreciate your sharing this hour with me and these special guests. For details you might have missed or information you'd like to know, please just send me an email, kated@warm1069.com, and I will get right back to you. Also, if you'd like to listen again or share these important stories with your family and friends, find the podcast on our Warm 1069 webpage. Just click on the podcast tab, then either of the show names, and then look for the guest names. I now wish you and your family a day of good connections. Planning for a great day at the zoo might be part of it. Have a week of the same, and then please plan to join me again next weekend for another hour of Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women on Warm 1069. Good morning.